Okay, perfect timing. We're going to call to order the City Council meeting of September 16th, 2013. And we are privileged today to have Abigail Allred from Stillwater High School that's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Abigail, if you want to come to the podium.
Hello, everyone. Will you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I just want to introduce myself. My name is Abby Allred, and I am senior at Stillwater High School. I am currently serving as the National FCCLA Vice President of Community Service. I was elected to this position in July, and I will hold it until next July. So it's kind of a really big deal.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal. I told her that if she did not make a big deal of it, that I was, and then I might have to embarrass her. So anyway, congratulations and thank you for being here with us.
Mayor, his photographs. Take a story about previous mayors.
All right, we do have a couple proclamations this evening.
Is he in the room? No.
All right, our first proclamation this evening. Whereas adult day centers in the state of Oklahoma are providing professional and compassionate services as an alternative to institutional living for adults. And whereas through this service, adult day centers enable physical and cognitive impaired adults to receive needed care and services in a community setting. And whereas adult day service centers provide a coordinated program of services, including restorative and functional maintenance of skills, rehabilitation, skilled and preventative care, and individual and group activities. And whereas Stillwater has been served for 30 years by an adult day center called the Life Center that provides daily individualized programs which offers participants the opportunity for enriching educational, therapeutic, and social experiences in the community. And whereas the Life Center also provides respite assistance, counseling, and educational support available to all caregivers in Payne County. And whereas the Adult Day Association of Oklahoma and the National Adult Day Services Association have designated September 15th to 21st, 2013 as National Adult Day Services Week. Now, therefore, I, John Bartley, Mayor of the City of Stillwater, Oklahoma, do hereby proclaim the week of September 15th through September 21st, 2013 as Adult Day Services Week in the City of Stillwater and urge the citizens of Stillwater to honor and celebrate this special event.
Just the microphone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I just wanted to say thank you to the citizens of Stillwater for all of the community support in helping the Life Center to achieve its mission, and just wanted to invite everyone to our open house on the Wednesday the 18th, and it's going to be from 9 to 3 if you'd like to learn more about the Life Center. Okay. Thank you very much.
Wherever you want to.
Thank you very much.
I don't see Skip Bayless here. Okay, our next one has to do with texting and safety.
For it.
Whereas Stillwater holds the health and safety of its teenagers and adults as a chief concern, and whereas through itcanwait.com, Facebook, text to pledge, tweet to pledge, and events, more than 1.8 million people have committed to never text and drive. And whereas 98% of American commuters know sending a text or email while driving is not safe. And whereas nearly 50% of commuters text while behind the wheel. And whereas more than 40% of commuters who text while driving reported the activity as being a habit. And whereas a driver that sends a text message while driving not only jeopardizes his or her safety, but also the safety of passengers, pedestrians, and other drivers. Now therefore, I, John Bartley, Mayor of the City of Stillwater, do hereby proclaim in the City of Stillwater Drive for Pledges Day, September 19th, 2013. We have Mary Alice Foster with the DAR for Constitution Week. Whereas September 17th, 2013 marks the 226th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention. And whereas it is fitting and proper to officially recognize this magnificent document and the anniversary of its creation. And whereas it is fitting and proper to officially recognize the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate the occasion. And whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America, designating September 17th through 23rd as Constitution Week. Now therefore, I, John W. Bartley, Mayor of the City of Stillwater, Oklahoma, do hereby proclaim the week of September 15th through September 21st, 2013 as Constitution Week in the City of Stillwater, and asks our citizens to reaffirm the ideals the framers of the Constitution had in 1787.
Constitution Week was proposed to Congress by the Daughters of the American Revolution and signed as Public Law 915 in 1956, a long time after the Constitution was written by President Eisenhower. Thank you.
That's going to take us down to the consent docket, and we have items A through D on the consent docket. Any counselors wish to remove items A through D? If not, is there a motion on the consent docket?
I move to accept the consent docket.
Motion and consent, or motion and second on the consent docket. And that passes 5-0. And that takes us down to public hearings. On the agenda, it did show that there was a public hearing that we had moved to postpone till tonight. That has been asked to be postponed again to October 7th. Is there a motion to postpone this matter until October 7th?
So moved. Second.
Motion and second to postpone to October 7th. And that is approved 5-0. And takes us down to general orders. Bid results, West College Sewer Line.
Good evening. Brandon Neal, Water Utility Engineer. I'm here to present to you the bid results for the West College Sanitary Sewer Replacement Project. And first, I'd like to start by offering to recap where the project is and the details, if you'd like. This is a complete replacement project for the sewer system in the area bounded by 6th Avenue, University Avenue, Walnut, and Blakely, plus another replacement of a trunk line, and that's additional, outside of that area, that's additional line that goes from Blakely all the way down to Jefferson. Part of the feature of this project is that it's taking, you can see my mouse up there, the red lines are where the sewer system is now, which is difficult to access for our crews. The pipe is in pretty poor shape. and including under 6th Avenue as well, where when our crews have to maintain it, they have to get down to 6th Avenue. The green lines are where we will be installing the pipeline instead, which is at the street where it's easy to access and in the front of the houses. And then, of course, you see down 4th Avenue, there's a long run of interceptor where it will take all that flow from that area down to an interceptor that we have over on Jefferson. Okay, so we advertised for bids. This replacement project, we did it in accordance with the purchasing manual as well as the requirements for the CDBG project. We had 11 people show up at our pre-bid meeting, 11 eligible bidders. We had one bid, and that one bid came in considerably higher than our engineer's estimate. And so that left us with a couple of major questions. One, why so high? And two, why only one bidder? We asked our engineers to contact the prospective bidders and find out what they thought. And the results they came back with were primarily it was an issue of timing. It has a lot to do with why we only had the one bidder more than anything. There are a lot of other projects going on, and that just seemed to be the recurring theme when they talked to the prospective bidders.
When were you thinking the project would start?
Right after homecoming.
Right after homecoming.
Right after. Another thing that made this project unusual is that a large part of the work includes plumbing work, which is, since we're moving these lines from the backyards to the front yards, there's going to be a considerable amount of work rerouting people's service lines from the backyard to the front yard. I think that, from our understanding from the contractors, that at least one project contractor simply said, I'm not going to do that project because it's so much plumbing. Nevertheless, that all has to be done. There was, of course, there's the challenge of being a heavily trafficked area and the challenges of having to work it out during the schedule of the school year and also working within the scheduling constraints of the CDBG grant that also applies to this project.
When are the constraints, what are the constraints for the grant? What time period?
I may have to enlist Valerie Silver's help with the specifics of the dates. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and do that.
Come to the speaker microphone, please.
The grant is open until August of 2014. And so there's a substantial amount of time. We just, because of the activities on campus, they wanted to postpone it to after homecoming because a lot of the trenches are really deep, liability, and I think they extended the normal 180 days or something like that of construction to like 270 or some 220 or quite a bit longer. There's still plenty of time to get it done during that time.
Valerie, can you confirm for me, what's the date that we had to be 100% expended by for the CDBG grant?
50% expenditures by June 30th to apply for the next year. We have to be 100% by August 1st.
So we have to be 100% expended by August 1st. That's the nature of the constraints that I'm referring to. So all those that I previously mentioned made some contractors less likely to bid in the first place, and they also probably contributed in some part to higher prices on the project. There was one single item that seemed to apply only to the price of the project itself, and that is the price of rock. We use rock to embed the pipe, and we use rock to backfill underneath streets. Right now, crushed rock is at a significant premium because most of the capacity around here for crushed rock is being taken up by hydraulic fracking operations and the construction of the pads. That's going to be an issue for as long as we have hydraulic fracturing in the area. In general, the feedback that we got from the contractors was that this price that we have for the project, although it's higher than our engineer expected, it appears to be a real price. It doesn't appear that if we rebid later that we would get a better price, and there's no guarantee that we wouldn't get a worse one. We have not worked with McGuire Brothers in the past, but they came well recommended by our engineer, and their bid otherwise completely met the requirements of the contract documents. And I suppose it's worth mentioning, the engineer did specifically recommend in writing that we award the contract to McGuire Brothers, the sole bidder. Before I move on to budget issues, do you have any other questions?
The only thing I might ask, and I don't know if it would conform to our requirements, but believe me when I say, I don't remember a time the trades were this busy, and I know what you're talking about that price for gravel. Would it be better to split it up and sub out the pipe work, the plumbing work ourselves and take it out of the scope? Or is it just gonna have to fit within it the way it's been engineered out?
Well, let me start by saying we actually did look at an option along those lines, and we could have, yeah, you're right. So we could have split out the plumbing and the contracting separately. One of the key benefits of going to one contractor is that your one contractor has sole responsibility of the destiny of the project. And particularly with CDBG funding, the beneficiaries, the residents, for us to qualify for reimbursement from the CDBG project, they have to, the deadlines that Valerie mentioned, the customers have to take benefit of the improvement. And so that means that the pipeline has to be constructed and the service line has to be done. So we'd have two separate contractors working in the same arena, both chasing the same deadline. That can be done, but in general it tends to be simpler, and I don't know that it's a cost benefit or penalty one way or the other.
Fair enough. Well, I'm sure you guys thought of everything. It was just my only contribution.
Yeah, but we agonized over that, but nevertheless. Okay. So as you saw referred to in your packets, the budget that's available right now unallocated in the wastewater capital fund plus the CDBG grant, those combined are not sufficient to construct the project. And so we find ourselves looking for additional
Out of the
funds.
money are you?
Say again?
How much are you out of the money? I don't remember seeing that.
So we need 2.6 million. We have 1.7 unallocated in the wastewater capital fund, and the grant is 117,000 roughly. So we are short by 800,000.
Thank you.
So we are proposing that we use funds currently allocated to 3 other projects to revise the budget to fund this West College capital project now. Then, as the wastewater capital fund builds back up from the rate increase money, as those funds become available, then move on to the other projects.
What are the other 3 projects?
You might ask. The first project is the miscellaneous sewer line replacement project. Currently, 470,000 of that is allocated. Approximately 100,000 right now are ready for construction, almost ready for construction. Sometime in Q4, it'll be ready for bid. Next project is the Doty-Stollard water line replacement project, or sewer line replacement project. That's over in the area nearby Highland Park. We don't have even an engineer yet selected for that. And the same situation for funds allocated for design of the Ramsey and Hester sewer line improvements. That's over south of the university, north of 6th. You'll also see on there a note that we are in the month of September, and by the end of September we're expecting to have 150,000 additional in rate increase funds in the wastewater capital fund.
So in essence, what we're saying, you're $880,000 over engineer's estimate, 830,000, whatever it was, over engineer's estimate.
That's right. Over the engineer's estimate and over what's available between the grant and the capital fund.
thing that concerns me about it, on the top line, miscellaneous sewer line replacement, every time something blows up around 9th Street, we have to go out there and do an emergency fix, and that's the fund that takes care of that, correct? Or is there another fund that takes care of that? Marcy's saying yes, there's another fund that takes care of that.
It sounds like Dan would like to help explain.
That's operational, and that's budget in the wastewater operation.
Well, then what are we giving up on the first line?
That's miscellaneous sewer record, and we've identified
Where's
certain locations for
miscellaneous
that.
street?
Well, miscellaneous this is capital project, but if something blows up tomorrow, we're gonna go out with our own crew and fix it.
Right.
Maybe I misunderstood your question.
Right. Like something on 9th Street blows up, we go
We'll
fix
go
it.
out with our own crew and fix it, but we don't use this money to fix it with. We use the money that's budgeted in our operation budget for
What
that.
would we have used this money for?
The specific locations that the specific locations that we've identified for repair, and Brandon can address those.
Sure, I can give you some examples. For instance, where there are sewer line taps here and there that are protruding into the sewer line, they're not necessarily grouped so that they make up a project. They're just something that's represented the O&M nuisance.
Is
for our
50
crews.
projects, 100 projects, 3 projects?
The $100,000 is probably, I don't know the exact number, but I'm going to guess it's 10 or 15 locations.
Okay.
Some of them are situations where the excavation is deep enough that it's just not a good match for what our crews can do. So we bring in somebody else who is suited for deep excavations.
That's smart thinking.
Well, that area has, seems like every time, a couple of months, we see a new break up there, so.
You're referring to 9th Avenue specifically.
Well, I'm back up to the area that this project was designed for. So we got breaks up there, we got breaks around 9th Street regularly, so we gotta knock one of these out.
And you're talking sewer line, not clean water lines.
Right.
Two distinct funds, two distinct pots that would use to repair or go capital.
Yes, sir.
So, is it fair that from the recommendation that staff's making, that from a priority standpoint, that this project in this area, it's a higher priority to get this project now with CDB, that grant fund, in place of the other projects? So push those other projects down the list, use that money here. Is that a fair?
It is, CDBG notwithstanding.
Okay.
This was our highest priority project, and it continues to.
What is, it is one of our priority sewer areas that needs to be refurbished, problem area. It's troublesome that the bids are as high as they are. But if there were no CDBG grant, the bid would be the same. So in order to take advantage of that $117,000 savings, if you will, it adds to that prioritization. And it is from the capital improvement fund for sewer. It's just reshuffling a little bit. And it was mentioned there's $150,000 will be transferred into there soon. So we'll recover it and be back on track in a few months.
Mr. Galloway, or maybe you're not the person to ask, but how soon were those other projects that we are considering pulling from, how soon were they anticipated to start?
The design for the point repairs, the miscellaneous sewer repairs, those were, we're still planning on advertising for bids on those late in the fourth quarter of this year. The pardon me, there were $370 other $1,000 that were listed there. So those would be ongoing for the rest of the year. That particular project was being designed as there was staff time to do so, and as quickly as our staff could identify the locations that were needed. The other two projects certainly might have been a few months out, but I couldn't give you a specific date. We hadn't selected the engineer yet.
Well, the only
We were
reason
early.
that I ask, if we have the opportunity to do the projects and keep them on budget and moving forward with, and maybe I'm not asking it the right way, but finding the money somewhere other than pulling from other sewer projects, rainy day fund, what have you, I would be more comfortable taking that approach making up the difference, and then if we've got to bring money back from the rate increases, putting it back in the rainy day fund, I would be more comfortable with that versus messing up their long-term schedule for the project that they've projected out over the course of time to keep things moving forward. That would be my approach, because I'm not, believe me, taking money from Project A, Project D, and Project C to take care of Project E. It just, I'm not as comfortable with that approach.
Go ahead.
Staff recommended that that it was okay to hold off on these three to do this, and that was the staff recommendation, yes?
It is the staff recommendation.
And a significant portion of that was fourth quarter work at best, right?
When you say fourth quarter, you're talking calendar or fiscal year?
Calendar.
Calendar.
Thank you. Fourth quarter calendar year, and in fact, I don't believe that this will slow us down specifically on that point repair work.
So fourth quarter calendar year, could you just give us the date approximate? October?
October, November?
Of next year.
No, sir.
This year?
Like in 2 months.
You're making it up in 2 months?
Not the whole, not the whole 800,000.
I think he was meaning he was talking about the miscellaneous repair work.
Right.
Thanks.
Yeah, the $100,000 for point repairs, miscellaneous point repairs, that money could be made up probably by November and have enough money to go to bid
100,000.
with that project. Not with the entire 680,000, I think. That would be more like, I think finance conservatively predicts about 150,000 a month income to the wastewater capital fund based on the rate increase. So making up that entire amount of money that we're going to defer would be more like 5, 6, 7 months, something like that.
Is the action that's being requested, is it really the action in SUA, or is there action at the city council level? Both.
Because of the CDBG portion of it requires council action, and then the SUA portion, you'll see the same report on the SUA agenda.
This is probably more trouble than it's worth, but how would we be cutting this over from the old sewer lines to the new? Disruption to customers is what I'm wondering.
Oh, I see. Construction-wise, the old line would remain in service and the old service line would remain in. Contractor will construct the new line out front. The contractor will generally build the new service line back from the new main up to the point of connection with the customer's existing service line. So I'd be remiss to give you a specific amount of time that we're confident that it would.
The idea is customers won't be shut off for significant periods of time. The properties won't be disabled.
A few hours.
Hours.
Yeah, but not weeks.
No.
Correct. Hours.
Okay. Good.
Mr. Weaver, if I may, what was your question again?
Well, we're going to build an entirely new sewer system for that area.
Yeah.
And so there'll have to be service lines from the homes to the new service installed.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I misunderstood your.
I was just curious how long the customers would be out of service. So, but we're not going to build new lines, you say, to the residents. We'll just try to hook to the old line as best we can.
Some of the residents' existing service line will remain unreplaced. So, yeah, so when we're done, the residents will have a little bit of their old line and a significant amount of new line. The lines will be longer.
Yeah, they have to be.
They have to go around the house.
Gotcha.
Any other questions from the city council standpoint, and we'll deal with this again in SUA?
No, sir.
Okay. So what is staff's request or recommendation to city council?
Staff recommends council authorize the use of the $117,059 in CDBG funds for a portion of the work of the subject project, that the contract be awarded to McGuire Brothers Construction Incorporated.
Now, now you're getting to SUA stuff, aren't you?
Sure, we can split it up.
you'll appropriate the funds.
Right.
Would you like me to read my recommendations that generally would apply to both, and we can split it between the two?
Go for it.
Okay. So to award the construction contracts to McGuire Brothers Construction Incorporated, authorize staff to execute the construction contract in the amount of $2,372,451. Authorize expenditures up to $2,633,421 for the completion of the project, including contingency and other miscellaneous costs. And, of course, I have a reminder on here to remind you that we would see this on the SUA agenda as well.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. And that is approved 5-0. Thank you. Okay, item B under general orders and the resolution have both been withdrawn. And that takes us down to ordinances. And on first reading, we have ordinance 3240. Mr. Dorman.
This is just simply an ordinance that will authorize the approval of the contract for the transfer of property to the Commissioners of Land Office. And we're reading it only by title tonight, and then on October 7th, I will bring you the fully fleshed out ordinance along with the contract. An ordinance authorizing the sale of a certain parcel of property located at 4220 North Perkins Road, provided for citizen-initiated referendum of said sale in accordance with Section 4-2 of the Stillwater City Charter.
Any questions on this?
Not at this time, sir.
Is there a motion on ordinance 3240?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion a second on 3240. That's approved 5-0. Takes us down on second reading, ordinance 3238.
An ordinance closing utility easements at a property addressed as 711 West Peaceable Acres Road.
Any questions?
I'll move approval.
Second.
Motion a second on ordinance 3238. Passes 5-0. And also on second reading, ordinance 3239.
An ordinance rezoning a tract of land located at 4599 North Washington Street from CB PUD Commercial Business Plan Unit Development to RTM PUD Two-Family and Multifamily Planned Unit Development.
Questions?
Just, no, I'll withdraw my question.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion second to approve ordinance 3239. That's also approved 5-0. Mr. Dorman, anything miscellaneous?
Nothing to report tonight, sir.
Mr. Galloway?
Just will say that I'm going to be in Tulsa for about 2.5 days this week, the Oklahoma Municipal League's annual conference of cities and town representatives from all over the state. This is the 100th year of the Oklahoma Municipal League's existence, so it's going to be a good conference. And next week I will be attending the International City Managers Association Conference Monday through Wednesday.
Anything from the counselors?
Not at this time, sir.
Okay, I've only got a couple. I think someone had a birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Counselor Weaver.
Glad to be here.
He didn't turn nearly as red as I was hoping he would. All right, tomorrow on the radio, 8:15 on KSPI 7, 8 a.m. will be Mr. Weaver.
I'm too old to get up that early.
Well,
Call in, wish him happy birthday.
so Counselor Weaver will be on the radio tomorrow morning. I'll be on Triple Play Radio Thursday morning, and then next Tuesday on Triple Play, I will be on with Bill Van Ness. Okay, anything for upcoming meetings?
Not at this time, sir.
Okay, is there a motion to adjourn the city council meeting?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion is second to adjourn city council. That's 5-0. City council is adjourned, and we will call to order the Stillwater Utility Authorities meeting. First item is the consent docket, minutes from our September 5th meeting.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion is second to approve the consent docket.
Excuse me.
And that passes 4-0 and 1 with Counselor Weaver abstaining. And that takes us down to general orders. Bid results, West College sewer line. I think everyone is familiar with this project and is pretty hot on the topic, so.
Go through it again.
Unless someone had a sudden blast of a question.
Move approval.
Okay, there we go. We have
Second.
motion and a second to approve staff recommendation. And as approved, 4-1. 4-1 with Counselor Scott voting no. Okay, that is the only other item on the SUA agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn SUA?
So moved. Second.
That passes 5-0. SUA is adjourned, and we will call to order the September 16th special meeting of the Stillwater Economic Development Authority. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Item A is regular meeting August 13th, and item B is executive session of August 13th, 2013. Is there a motion to approve these minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, the minutes are approved 5-0. Now, as I understand it, Mr. Galloway, we do not have a need for executive session. I'll just making a presentation.
That's correct. I don't think we need to go into executive session. This is fairly brief. As you know, in our Business Improvement District Number 1, we have a standing policy that if a new business is created or an expanding business, they can apply for an incentive development, either a sales tax rebate, or if they own the property and grant us a mortgage on the property, they can qualify for an upfront, low-interest loan that will be repaid by the sales tax rebate. Core Development LLC and Stone Development LLC are a couple of LLCs that have done business in the business district. They have formed a new corporation called Oddfellows LLC. It's given that name because they purchased the Oddfellows building at the corner of 5th and Main. It will house a retail sales tax generating business. Keystone Foods is an existing Stillwater business. They've provided their sales plan and projections of growth in that new location. We have determined over the last 24 months their existing sales tax generation, and we have looked only at the projected new increase in sales tax that they are projecting. They have applied for a $42,500 incentive agreement. That's below, we have gone above 50, but that cost is for the development of parking facilities on the north side of the property, as well as repaving the parking areas on the west side of the property. The agreement would be that of the new sales tax generated, an amount equal to 1% of sales tax would go to defray the loan over a period of 5 years. If the end of the 5 years, if they've not generated enough new sales to retire the debt, the balance would be due and payable to the city with the interest rate of 2%. It's a pretty standard agreement that we've entered with several businesses downtown. It's a little different in that the developer is the applicant, but the developer is providing a mortgage, second mortgage position on their property to secure the loan, and the tenant, being Keystone Food Services, will generate the sales and the sales tax, which will repay the loan. So given that, my recommendation is to authorize us to prepare that agreement and authorize its signature.
Questions?
It's almost identical to the agreement we did on 7th and Husband in that building.
The loft apartments one?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions?
Not at this time, Mr. Mayor.
So,
Recommendation is to authorize us to enter that agreement.
okay, so this is down on number, we'll be down on number 5 from the return from executive session.
That's correct, yes, sir.
So you say this is an existing food business in Stillwater.
Yes.
Where are they currently located?
I'm trying to remember the location. I don't remember the existing address. Apologize for that. We have certified their tax returns. They do catering food services. They do a great deal for OSU, and they also do a lot of it in Norman for OU events and related events. They do about 60% more business here than they do in Norman. And they also do business in other parts of the state. But only the sales that occur in Stillwater are the basis of this application.
And it's only the incremental growth.
Yes, they get no credit for existing sales tax revenue.
Is this a second location, or are they moving?
This is an expanded location. They're moving. They were the former name of the company was Sanger Foods.
Still don't know any more than I did on this phone.
All right. Any other questions for Mr. Galloway? Okay. Is there a motion on this request?
I'd like to see that corner developed. It's sat empty for a very long time. I'd make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to approve this request. That is approved 5-0. No further.
I think, since you mentioned the corner, if you're familiar with, if you're on 5th Street westbound coming toward Main, the furniture showcase is to the north. There's parallel on-street parking, which makes that street very, very narrow.
That's right.
What they're going to do is cut into their property, remove the curb, and put diagonal parking more off the street and create it closer to the building, which will open it up and make that street wider. So it should provide a safety aspect as well, so it's beneficial to the city as well.
That is narrow.
Okay. No other items on the agenda for Stillwater Economic Development Authority, so is there a motion to adjourn, CEDA?
Yes.
Motion and a second. Passed 5-0. We are adjourned. Done.
Does your son need that? You already got 10,000. No problem. Not a problem.
And replays of City Council and Planning Commission meetings at your